Okay, as I said earlier, Mick wasn't able to come, so I'm going to see whether I can deliver the information. Quite familiar with the project. This project is located in the region of Waterloo in southwestern Ontario, in a rural highway. Rural highway number 75. It's a two-lane undivided roadway going north-south. It's not at grade. It's actually, I believe, about 4 to 5% grade, going basically from south going uphill to the north, to the intersection here. So the paving basically ends at this. Go around the bend. And there's a road here. T intersection ends at that intersection. And the project came up in 2014. And at the time, it was basically being slated for full depth reconstruction of asphalt. And Eric Sanderson heard about concrete overlay, and we managed to work with Mark and arrange a site visit to the Brewer in Auckland. And he went and looked at it, and then after that, he we sat down and did an evaluation like what I presented earlier this afternoon, looking at the existing pavement conditions and evaluate whether the unbonded concrete overlay is the right application. There are many reports that has been done, which I'm going to show. This road is rural highway, and the length is only 1.2 kilometers, and it's going up grade about. I don't have the right information. I think it's about 4-5% grading, and the slip-form paving actually is from the bottom all the way up. It's quite a challenge, and the road is not straight either. It's go around the bend, and I would have to say the slip-form contractor did an excellent job on this project. It's two-lane and divided, so one going south, one going north. So I'll talk about the traffic management challenges, which that's why I'm quite familiar with this project, because I was very intrigued on how do you manage the traffic when there's one direction, one lane going south, one lane going north. So if you're doing paving in one lane, only one direction traffic is going. So I'll talk to you about the challenges and how it was kind of partly resolved. And then the truck traffic, as I mentioned earlier, is very important, because this is your design criteria, besides the subgrade, the base condition, the existing pavement condition. The truck traffic is 8% of the annual average daily traffic of 8,386. So in a rural highway, this is quite bad. And the asphalt surface, as you said in the previous picture, is quite poor. And this picture also shows. So it's due for reconstruction. It's like any good project, in order to understand the existing pavement, you have to do investigation. One of the things that I mentioned in my presentation is do coring, to verify what is the actual pavement thickness against your PMS, pavement management system. So it turned out that this rural highway has a concrete base with a multi-layer of asphalt on top, and the ranging not constant, like any roadways, between 130 to 180 millimeter asphalt on, and the concrete roughly about 170 to 190 millimeter thick. And the granular, surprisingly, is not constant either, from 0 to 500 millimeter. As thick as over an inch and a half, as low as none. And the soil is pretty bad in terms of drainage, sandy silt or silty sand. I'm done with my presentation. Isn't that? Sorry about that. This is an old technology. This is like 20 years old. So sometimes I think it sticks together. Okay, so Region of Waterloo commissioned the AMAX in 2011. Look at this project and suggest the rehabilitation strategies. Like any good consultants, they look at that and then recommend based on 2 design criteria, which I mentioned earlier, also applicable to concrete overlay. is the ASTRO 93 design guideline using the Darwin design software and also the MTO rehabilitation manual, looking at full depth asphalt replacements. So Region Waterloo had that report, and then they heard about concrete overlay, so they engaged the discussion with us and Ready Mix Concrete Association, and eventually with the City of Toronto, and went for the site visit. And after that, we look at this report and also there was some core sample that's shown earlier, and also they were able to remove some of the asphalt and look at the existing pavement conditions. So after that, we determined that unbonded concrete overlay may be one of the right application pending for further discussions. Now, based on the AMEX report, it presented four options. And obviously, the previous slide that you look at is for the full depth repair. And as the report indicated, it's not economical, not very cost effective. So that leaves the other three. And none of them talk about concrete overlays. So obviously, those are now off the book. That Region of Waterloo wants to look at a more permanent conditions, especially with the two-lane rural highway. You cannot go back every 10 years or 5 years to fix it, because that creates a lot of traffic chaos. And the worst part is, it's not just the roadway itself. On both sides, there are people living there. So when you're doing resurfacing, even overnight, you have to restrict access for those people. Some of them can't even go home during that time. So you can't really do it too often. So they are looking for a permanent solution. So those were off the book, and now we're looking at unbonded concrete overlay as maybe one of the applications. And we'll go into detail how we identify, at the end of the day, this is the right applications. So as Mark showed earlier, the Blue and Auckland project was visited and reviewed it, and City of Toronto was engaged in the discussions. So after reviewing the application of this and the condition, and it was, I think the site visit was in 2014. That Region Waterloo was very convinced at the time that we need to look at the unbonded concrete overlay. And we provided some preliminary design based on the AMAX report that was done in 2011. We came up with more or less the same thickness, about 6-inch, 155 millimeter with 1-inch HL3 as a separation layer. So based on that, Region Waterloo engaged applied research associate to do a full-scale study, involve falling weight, the flock, FWD, and also the ground penetrating radar to find out what are the distresses in the asphalt, and the FWD to look at the existing concrete pavement. What is the joint performance? Based on those two results, that they came up. This is the initial design that we provided to the region. Remove entirely the existing asphalt and put in, instead of 1-inch 25 millimeter, in this case, put in 30 millimeter HL3, and then put in 125 to 150 concrete layer as an unbonded, sitting on top of the existing 9 inches, roughly 180 millimeter asphalt, existing concrete. At the same time, because that road is also a lot of bicycle rider likes to use that road, so the region also want to expand the shoulder to accommodate a bicycle lane. So we also came up with this detail. So as you can see, existing concrete, existing asphalt to be milled off, and put in the 30 millimeter HMA as a separation layer, put in that roughly about 150 millimeter concrete overlay. But in the shoulder area, because there's no asphalt, nothing, it's just a granular. So we have to design a full depth concrete, which is 200 millimeter, because in this shoulder, it's very seldom the trucks are wandering into it, maybe once a day, a couple times a day, but it's not channelized on this. It's mostly mainly for the bicycles. So you would design as 8 inches, 200 millimeters. But at the same time, we also want to tie this because this is 1 lane width, but together with another roughly about 0.9 to 1.8 meter, then this panel is too wide. If we don't do a saw cut, also in here, it's going to crack. So, but we know that this is the edge of the pavement. We need to tie it to make sure this pavement is continually, this free edge is continuously supported, so the dial bar was in place to be installed by the contractors. So, as I mentioned earlier, ARA was commissioned to do the final report based on applying the unbonded concrete overlay on this as a rehabilitation strategies. So, like any good consultants, they go into FWD to find out what is the joint efficiencies of the base slab, and also using the ground penetrating radar to find out how deep are the distresses. So this shows the unbonded concrete overlays. Now, based on those studies, I identified there's a couple areas have some cracked slabs. The slabs are basically cracked up or have, like half moon cracks. Those cracked slabs has to be fixed up, because if not, there's no uniform support. That area is going to will continue to move, and the soil underneath may get pumped all the way up to continue to lose the support. So those distresses need to be addressed. So those cracked slabs actually was repaired. In terms of joint in this pavement, the joint are basically in very good condition. So not a lot of joint being repaired, only the cracked slabs were fixed up before they put the asphalt, the 30 millimeter asphalt HL3 separation layer. Now here is the actual cost from the region. When they do the unbonded concrete overlay, even with the repair of the slab, extending each side about 1.5 millimeter in average, the shoulder for the bicycle lane, the total cost is 1.34 million, as compared to full depth asphalt replacement 1.7. So this one come in low in the first cost. Let alone this pavement will probably give them at least 13 to 15 years without any maintenance requirements, and probably have a life longer than that. So the total saving, as you can see, based on the region Waterloo number, is $365,000 for the entire projects. Traffic management, like any project, especially in the urban settings, traffic management sometimes is 1/3 to half of the cost of the projects. Especially in this area, when you have 2-lane rural highway undivided, and obviously they can only do 1 lane at a time. So the region decided to only let the northbound traffic going through. The southbound has to divert about 18 kilometers. They say, holy cow, somebody's going to pick up the phone, can't call the guys. The engineer is going to get a earful. So what do you do in that situation? Public consultation. They basically canvass all the people around this area and advertised it. And every day during the project, every week, the contractor will send out flyers to all the neighboring, all the people living in the neighboring area, to let them know what do they plan to do to that week, and if any changes, they will inform them. So in other words, the publics are very well informed what are being done, why these are being done. But even with that, in the night, when they have the signage in the night, it's only northbound lane. So they are paving the northbound lane and use the southbound lane as the northbound traffic goes through. So the southbound has to go rare. So in the night when there's less traffic, people actually duck past the barrier and go on the or go on the lane that's supposed to only allow northbound traffic. If they see the headlight, they don't get over to the shoulders. That becomes a very dangerous scenario. So once those are identified, the contractor put more signage, but also at the same time, at the top end of the road, they station a security guard there. In the night, they park a car there. Because in the night, you have to see, you will, when you drive, try to go southbound, knowing that northbound traffic coming through, when you see a vehicle parks there, you think that's a police. Right? So those are the things that has been implemented, but the most important to me is not just having a vehicle parked there disguised as a vehicle traffic, police vehicle. The most important is they have increased the signage, increased the barriers to totally avoid people taking any chances going southbound. So that is a very good challenge project, and in fact, I have engaged Professor Suan Thai student Dan Pickle, survey this, continue to look at the region Waterloo's traffic management plan, compare to Capital Paving's traffic management plan, and also continue to monitor how this traffic management plan being modified along the way to ensure the project are done on time, on budget, but also at the same time ensuring the work zone safe, reduce work zone hazard, and also reduce accidents. So that the project actually went very well, and there's a paper actually has been written already on this particular project on traffic management. Now, staging of the construction, as you can see here, this is the northbound lane being paved, and this lane is the southbound lane is now channeled the northbound traffic. So you can see they're milling off the asphalt and the existing concrete pavement being inspected, and based on the ARA report, look at the area and also repair the area that had cracked slabs to make sure this area not continue to move. At the same time, also provide uniform support for all the works that are going to be done on top, and also most important, supporting the 150 millimeter unbonded concrete overlays. And they scarify the area. This joint, when you look at it, it does have a bit of deterioration, but not being repaired. The reason being is you have the 1 inch, that 30 millimeter asphalt as the separation layers. That basically stopped any minor distress from propagating up to the top of the concrete layer. So that joint, this does not affect any uniform support. And then further visual inspections, looking at there's no drainage problem either. So this joint was not, like every single joint you look at here on the existing concrete pavement was not repaired. And then you can see this is not at grade, it's going up. I think based on my knowledge, I think it's about 4% up grade going north. So right now the HL3 separation layer is being placed. Again, showing the pictures, and then the slip form pavings being done. The reason why slip form paving being done because there's no elevation constraint. There's no concrete sidewalk or no curb that are restricting the use of slip form paver. So slip form paver, 2-lane slip form paver Gomeco machine was deployed in this area. As I mentioned earlier, it's going uphill paving and also around the bend. And I was amazed when I went last June, they already finished the northbound lane. It was beautifully done. And finishing it, and then saw cut. This is the most critical time. It's the saw cut. If you don't saw cut early enough, then you may end up with early crackings. So the saw cutting almost happened within a couple hours using the early entry saw cut, the lightweight soft cut. And when you do the saw cut, somebody say, oh, okay, we'll do the transfer, the short direction first. But what happened to the long direction? By the time you finish all these, all the way to the top, this direction already start cracking up, so you have to have multiple number of saws going in both directions. This way you want to catch, you want to do it in the right time frame so that Mother Nature does not give us the problem with early age cracking. So as you can see, saw cut already started here. Now in terms of opening strength, this one, in the Blue and Auckland job, we actually learned quite a bit from it. What Mark's showing that the stresses between the asphalt concrete, we did it in 2003. We didn't know better. So what we did was we did a butt joint. Makes sense, right? Like, two materials just butt against it. But we learned from the last 5 years, if I project like this, I would not do any butt joint. What I will do is, when it comes to vertical phase, I'll do the concrete and then I'll do a slip and slap underneath the asphalt, support portion of the asphalt. So the asphalt doesn't move up and down and causing that joint problems at the interface. And so as an engineer, we learn, live and learn. We'll continue to do better. So in terms of that joint, we'll never do any butt joint anymore. Now in terms of concrete opening strength, in the Blue and Auckland, we actually waited about 24 hours, and then we break the cylinders. Now in 2003, obviously maturity testing is not very prominent, and we haven't quite learned what maturity testing means, right? In here, what this project does is they develop a temperature curve related to the concrete strength, and also related to the time. So what in this project, they throw in a couple temperature gauge in the concrete cell. And then these are wireless, so you can measure the temperature. Based on that temperature, you can look at that pre-established curve and look at the strength development. As you can see here, is a different location of it along the road, along the 1.2 kilometers. As you can look at, these are the opening strength hours to meet the 20 megapascal. It's not 28 days, it's not 24 hours. It's around 12, somewhere between 8 to 16 hours you can open for traffic. In fact, one of the pavement, when I was there, was just paved it the day before, and within 12 hours, heavy trucks, because that roadway actually, there's a quarry very close to it. So these heavy trucks carrying aggregates was going uphill on this northbound, which was just paved. So the opening strength can be achieved somewhere between 12 to 16 hours. And the opening strength is 20 MPa. So that is not a problem. You don't need to wait 8 days. You do not need to wait 3 days. You do not need to wait 7 days. You don't even need to wait 24 hours. You can open for traffic. This is a case study that's showing it. And in here, what's the specified strength? 32 MPa. You reach in 4 days. So concrete can be opened for traffic as quickly as possible. Now, obviously, we have done, like Mark said earlier, we have done the monitoring of the embodied concrete overlay at Blue and Auckland since 2003. So I suggested to Region Waterloo and Professor Sun Tai is, where one project has all the strain gauges, moisture gauges to measure the response, and the stress gauges to measure the responses. It would be nice, because this one is very similar to Blue and Auckland. The thicknesses may be varied by 10 millimeter on the top layer, still with roughly about 1 inch, 25 to millimeter of HL3, and the concrete layer is about the same thickness. It would be nice to install the same equipment, the sensors, at the same location to verify have a second project to verify the result. So we have students, literally, as you can see, the concrete is there, and the slip form pave operator be telling them, guys, 1 minute, if you don't leave, I'm going to pave you over. So they were basically working on trying to nail down the strain gauges, put a lower concrete on top, so that when the slip-on paper come over, then they push over the strain gauges. So they were installing the strain gauges with the cable wires. So because here, they have to connect to a data log in order to collect the data, right? So we are using this approach to verify the performance data from the Brunel Auckland. As you can see here, now, Mark mentioned about line painting. Yes, over the years, line painting, you know, the wear and tear of the line painting appears to be sooner than the asphalt. But today, if you look at 407 toll highway, and also in here, you will see the similar application is white on black. And I have talked to Engage 3M multiple times in the past many years when we meet each other in TAG, is keep asking them. I say, guys, your line painting material was developed originally for asphalt. You should really look at, develop a line painting material for concrete that will last as long or longer than the asphalt. And I have no doubt they have probably at this